Well, hello there and welcome to the channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about the mistakes that you should never do when it comes to growing camellias. Now, I've got 6 for you. They're all bad, and the last one is arguably the worst mistake that people are making. I see it all the time. Come on now, we should know these answers, right? So let's get into it. Let's start with mistake number 1. Now, the first mistake is not necessarily a mistake that you're going to make, but it's a way of mitigating the mistakes of rogue suppliers. Now, come the spring, there are thousands, tens of thousands, maybe almost 1 million camellias that come into the country from rogue suppliers abroad who don't have the same rigorous standards as our UK horticulturists. And the problem with that is mislabeling. And over the past 10 years, mislabeling of plants has become one of my biggest bugbears. It absolutely gets on my chest and drives me out the wall. The amount of stuff I've bought and it's wrong because it's been labelled wrongly. So to mitigate that, that's that word again, always buy your camellias in flower. If you're looking for a particular colour form, buy it in flower, and if the flower is correct, then you know you've bought the right flower. So often you buy these plants, you can't tell what colour flower it's going to be or the size or anything from a small specimen in a pot. So do your due diligence, wait, buy the plant that you want in flower, and you're guaranteed it's going to be that flower later on. So many times that goes on, so many times. Avoid that one. Now, mistake number 2 is to never plant your camellia in the wrong soil or compost. Now, camellias are from the heath family, which is your Ericaceae family. So these require ericaceous compost. And you might be going, Simon, what's ericaceous compost? Well, I'll tell you, it is a compost that is slightly acidic. It's exactly the same as your regular compost, so they formulate it so it's slightly acidic. The reason for that is this: camellias are unable to take up iron and magnesium in alkaline conditions, and why that is important is because they require iron and magnesium to produce the chlorophyll pigment, because if they can't produce the chlorophyll pigment, and they can't use photosynthesis to produce the sugars required for the plant to grow. So if you don't put it in the slightly acidic compost or soil, as you need to do, then you'll get yellowing of the leaves, stunted growth, poor flowering. You'll have an underperforming plant. So get it right. Either do a soil test on your soil if you're going to plant it directly into the soil. If not, mix in plenty of ericaceous soil, and also there are a number of products that you can put into the soil to increase, like sequestrian. There's some great products out there that will slightly acidify, and yes, you can use human urine watered down if you want to use that as an acidifier. You don't want the pH to be too strong, but that's what you need to do. Always plant your camellias in slightly acidic soil or compost, otherwise it's just not going to work for you. Hold on, I just want to interrupt this broadcast with some important news. If you are finding this video interesting, or at the very least amusing, then consider pressing the like button. That way YouTube can help other people looking for this information to find this video. And if you want to support this video further, you can just by subscribing. It's absolutely free. If you want to find out whenever we publish a new video, then click on that notification bell. I'll let old boil butt continue talking. Now, mistake number 3, it's not something that we ever used to do, but in recent times it seems to be the thing to tease the roots out of your root ball before planting. And for some reason it seems to be the word of law on gardening programs from professional celebrity gardeners or garden designers, so not actually from horticulturists or the growers who actually deal on the ground with these plants. Now, camellias have a very fibrous root system. They don't have a particularly strong root system. It is particularly fibrous, and if you start tinkering around, teasing out the root systems, what you are doing is damaging all the fine root hairs that allow the plant to take in water, taking nutrition. So by doing that, you're tearing all those roots apart. You're going to shock the plant. Now if you shock the root system of a camellia, then that can delay flowering by a year, and in extreme circumstances a couple of years, while it settles down and starts thinking about producing flowers, producing seeds. Now one of my favorite gardening presenters, Alan Tishmarsh, completely agrees with me, and also, if you didn't know, Charles Darwin, he postulated that the roots of a plant are akin to its brain. So the question you need to ask yourself is this: are you a brain surgeon? Are you a brain surgeon? Are you a brain surgeon? If you're not a brain surgeon, leave those flipping roots alone. Bloody TV gardeners. Right, the fourth mistake you should never do is planting your camellia in the wrong place. And you might think, what are you talking about? Well, let me explain this. Camellias are very early flowering, so early you could say they are perhaps late flowering. You can have them flowering ready from the end of November, depending on the cultivar, all the way up until about May, June time. So if you want to see them when they're in flower, make sure that they're positioned in the garden where you can see them, because the problem is throughout the summer you'll have other plants growing around them, you won't see them. Come the spring, they're blocked, you won't see the flowering, and that seems to be a fairly common problem, but that's not the main problem. The main problem is this: in its native habitat of Asia, China, Japan, all that area, they are a woodland plant. They like to be kept in permanently moist conditions, and they like to be kept in the shade during the heat of the day. So if you start bringing it out into full sun, you start to get scorching yellowing of the leaves, and your plant will look unhealthy, and it will struggle because it's just not coping. It will get stressed and start to go dormant and mess about with you. The other thing with the position is regarding spring blooms. If the plants are exposed to early morning sun and frost, then the blooms that open up can become really damaged, like browning on the extremities of the blooms, and in extreme cases the whole bloom will be absolutely ruined and will drop off. So positioning is very important. Try and put it somewhere where you can see the blooms. Put it somewhere where it's not going to suffer that frost damage on the flowers, and give it the conditions that it has evolved to live in, which is shade during the heat of the day and reliably moist soil. Get all those things right, and really your plant will do extremely well. All right, mistake number 5 is this. Right, now you see it's that's the camellia there. That's one of my camellias. A lovely thing. In fact, you know what? Look, it's even got a bud starting to open there, which is very, very early for this. Anyway, right. The thing with this is that it's at the moment it's blocked by this grass here. It's under the shade of this tree. It's got some other plants that were here before. We had a dahlia, fuchsia here, and all these will now get cut back if they haven't been done already, and I'll be able to see this straight from the kitchen window. Now, because it's been hidden over the summer from these other plants, but then available to see in the spring during its flowering time, it's often easy to forget it's there over summer periods. And in the UK, we often get periods of drought over the summer period. And as I said previously, in the last mistake never to be made, they need to be kept reliably moist throughout the year. So if you've forgotten it's there and you're not watering it, you can, or the plant can abort its buds straight off like that if it gets too dry. It can weaken the plant and make it susceptible to fungal infections in the blooms. So you must make sure that over the summer, especially during periods of drought, that you're watering your camellias. And don't forget, because they like to be kept in the shade during the heat of the day, they're often planted under taller plants, trees, large shrubs, and then you get direct competition between the larger plant and your camellia, and sadly your camellia will often not win. So watering these plants during the summer is absolutely key to get a fantastic flowering display in the spring. That one's very important. And now we're going to be on to the daddy of mistakes. Mistake number 6. Now, mistake number 6. This is to do with pruning your camellias. Now, if you feel that you need to regularly prune your camellia, then you probably bought the wrong one. You should have done your research first. Buy one that doesn't grow so big and doesn't require pruning, because they do create a lovely shape by themselves, and would rather be left alone. However, I know what you like. I know what you like. You get sent out there, told to tidy up that plant, and you start cutting it and flipping it. Come the spring, it's not flowered. Why isn't it flowered? Well, I'll tell you why it ain't flowered, because you flipped it up. The problem, it's not a problem, it's just how it works. The thing with camellias, it can take about 9-10 months in order for the plant to produce its flower bud. So as soon as the plant, or even before the plant has finished flowering, it's producing the buds at the tips of these plants for next year's growth. So if you want to prune your camellias, then you do your pruning before the end of flowering. That way the new growth will occur and it will have next year's bud in it. If you prune any time after that, so that is a good 10-month period, then you are going to remove the buds. Wherever you've cut is going to be where the buds are gone. It's going to be in our flowers, and I see this time and time again. I don't understand it. I don't know why. You can see the buds are on there, especially if you're pruning it over the autumn and winter, which I understand why you do that, because that's when a lot of shrub and tree pruning is done. You cannot do that with camellias, because you're just going to remove all of the flowering bud for the spring. The only bud that's going to be left on it is where you haven't cut it. So that is a very, very important one. The pruning time is absolutely critical. You've got a really short window of it, unless you're just pruning it because it's overgrown, it's a mess, you've got branches everywhere and you're not too worried about it, and that's fine. Cut it back, and it will take a really hard cut, you know, significantly. You can completely muller a plant down to like its trunk, and it will still regrow through. Absolutely resilient as anything, these camellias really are. But when it comes to flowering, timing is absolutely crucial. You can't say, oh, what time of the year, because like I said before, these plants can be flowering anywhere from between end of November all the way up to about May, possibly even early June. So it's all done on the individual plant. So as soon as that plant is about to finish flowering, that's when you cut it. No other time. So there you have it. 6 really big, really obvious mistakes that I see year on year on year, that I see people making all the time. And you never want to make these mistakes, because it affects your growing plant, it affects the ornamentation, it affects the value, and they're not cheap plants. They can be considerably expensive. So stop making these terrible mistakes and get the best out of your plants. Anyway, if there's anything that you would like to add to my list of 6, because there's probably a couple out there that I may have missed, then you're more than welcome to add that into the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and it allows other people who read the comments to get that information too. So you're more than welcome to do that. Before we go, just like to ask you to consider supporting this channel. It is absolutely free. It's very, very easy. The next bit is going to tell you exactly how to do that. It costs nothing, and you can jump out of it for nothing instantly. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps this video channel. So thank you for watching. See you in the next one, hopefully. Be good. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we have created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description. You can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while I've still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.